Every day at noon they walked. The old man in the rumpled sweater and the small man in the heavy overcoat. Down Mercer Street in Princeton, past the White Houses and the oak trees, two of the greatest minds in human history walking side by side like an old married couple. I watched them from my office at the Institute for Advanced Study. Everyone watched them, Einstein and Gödel, the physicist who had bent space and time, and the logician who had broken the foundations of mathematics itself. They spoke in German, they spoke quietly, and the things they said to each other on those walks terrified me. Not because they were wrong, because they were right. My name is J. Robert Oppenheimer. I am the director of the Institute for Advanced Study. Before that, I built the atomic bomb. I have held the most destructive force in human history in my hands. I have seen what happens when physics escapes the blackboard and enters the world. But what Gödel told Einstein on those walks was more dangerous than anything I ever built in Los Alamos, because Gödel did not destroy a city, he destroyed certainty itself. This is that story. Born in Brunn in 1906, Kurt Gödel earned the nickname Herr Warum, Mr. Why, for his endless questions. His childhood home was filled with books and music, but numbers drew him in. By 14, he was already winning prizes at the gymnasium, lost in puzzles that set him apart. At the University of Vienna, he listened quietly to Hahn and Schlick, while Hilbert's vision of a complete mathematics loomed large. Gödel read Frege, Russell, and Hilbert, filling notebooks with questions. In July 1929, at 23, he defended his doctorate without a single revision. The world's certainty in mathematics was about to be shaken. A slim paper arrived in Vienna carrying Gödel's name and a shock that rippled through mathematics. He'd numbered every symbol, every proof, and built a sentence that spoke about itself, a statement quietly declaring, "I cannot be proved." With this, Gödel shattered Hilbert's dream of certainty. His first theorem showed that even the most rigorous system holds truths that can't be reached by logic alone. The second theorem struck deeper. No system can prove its own consistency. The cathedral of mathematics, once thought complete, now stood exposed to the elements. Certainty was gone. Proof became fragile. Gödel's work left a wound that would haunt science for decades. He arrived in Princeton with the look of a man who had seen too much. The route Gödel and Adele took was a map of desperation and genius. Vienna to Warsaw, then east, always east, through the iron cold of Irkutsk, across Siberia, past the border guards with their rifles and blank stares, a stamp from Suruga, another from San Francisco, and finally, on a pale April morning in 1940, Kurt Gödel stepped onto American soil. The Institute for Advanced Study took him in. Einstein's own letter had opened the door. I remember seeing Gödel on those first days, his coat too heavy for the spring, eyes scanning the ground as if hunting for cracks in reality. Adele, his anchor, hovered nearby, watchful and brisk. It was on the quiet streets of Princeton that the real partnership began. Einstein would wait at the gate, hair wild, shoes untied, while Gödel drifted from the library, hands in his pockets, lost in thought. They walked together, day after day, under the oaks on Mercer Street. Two exiles speaking in German, trading riddles about time and certainty. I watched them from a distance, uneasy. Even then, I sensed that whatever passed between them on those walks would not just change physics, it would unsettle the ground beneath all our convictions. I watched Gödel and Einstein walk, their shadows tangled in the afternoon light, and I thought I understood what it meant to be haunted by an idea. But nothing in those silent strolls prepared me for the day Gödel, with his trembling hands and careful voice, brought forth his new solution, 1949. He had taken Einstein's own equations, those pillars of space and time, and found a universe that spun so strangely, its very fabric allowed a path to loop back upon itself. Closed, time-like curves, he called them. A world where you could, in principle, return to your own past. Not a fantasy, but a direct consequence of the mathematics. I remember Einstein's face as he read Gödel's paper. The color left his cheeks. The old certainty, the comfort of cause and effect dissolved. If time could circle, then the order of reason itself was threatened. What is proof, what is truth, when the universe might double back and swallow its own history? In that moment, I felt a terror colder than the bomb. Gödel had not just broken the cathedral of mathematics, he had opened a door in the sky, and on the other side, time itself was unmoored. The world was stranger and less safe than any of us had dared to imagine. In the summer of 1947, I watched Gödel prepare for the final test of belonging, his American naturalization. He studied the Constitution as if it were a system of axioms, searching for the hidden flaw. On June 26th, he entered the courtroom flanked by Einstein and Morgenstern, his friends, and in that moment, his guardians. The judge, eager to make light, joked that such a dictatorship as Austria's could never happen here. Gödel, eyes bright with the fever of logic, began. On the contrary, I can prove, but Einstein's hand landed on his arm and Morgenstern's voice cut in, gentle but firm. The moment passed. The judge, oblivious to the storm that nearly broke, granted citizenship. I saw in Gödel's silence a man who could not stop thinking, even when the world begged him to rest. Logic for him was not a shield. It was a blade that cut too deep, even in the safety of a courtroom. In the end, truth ran ahead of proof and left Gödel behind. His mind, so sharp it could cut through the world's illusions, turned to inward and found only danger. Adele watched over him, steady as the tide, guarding his meals, his medicine, his fragile peace. I think of him now in those last years, haunted by poisons only he could see, starving himself when Adele fell ill. He died in 1978, a wraith of logic, weighing less than 60 pounds, yet the wound he opened never closed. Today, as we build machines to reason for us, the old question returns: can any system, mathematical, mechanical, or human, ever be sure of itself? Gödel's shadow falls across every algorithm, every proof, every promise of certainty we make. The cost of knowing, he showed us, is to live with what cannot be known. Certainty is a luxury we can't afford. Gödel proved that truth escapes every system, just as time escapes every clock. Even now, logic's shadow falls across every answer we trust.